Okay, let's try this again. We are live once again. StreamYard is still not working, and it is an absolute pain in the ass because everything else is working. I'm running other pages that are working just fine. For some strange, frustrating reason, StreamYard just does not seem to want to work for me. There seems to be a weird lag, so forgive me. When I try to switch screens, there's like a 10-second minimum lag between when I hit the button and when it actually changes. So let's hope this works. Let's hope we can get through this. I honestly have no idea why it doesn't work. Like I said, literally everything works. I can click on another tab on another internet sort of tab and look at it in real time. There's no lag whatsoever. The only lag is in StreamYard. I have no idea why. And before anybody offers to help, I've tried everything. I've tried everything. And for whatever reason, StreamYard just really doesn't like me, apparently. Anyways, hopefully, people will jump back on from the first attempt at doing this stream. As I was saying, we're going to talk for a minute about AWOK. Then we will talk maybe, about some G.I. Joe classified stuff. And then we will maybe talk about X-Men 97. And then we will maybe talk about the G.I. Joe Transformers crossover movie. We will see what happens. StreamYard permitting, may the StreamYard gods smile upon me on this second attempt. I'm like beyond frustrated, so it's forgive me, but anyways, let's get into it. So as I was saying, in the first attempt, the Kickstarter is currently at $257,288. We are so close to unlocking the first of the birds. That bird being Raven, who is a raven, believe it or not. I risk well, it's scrolling. Like I said, this tab works fine. So I was going to say, is it worth the risk to sort of scroll down to Raving to sort of, I'm going to skip all the stuff that you guys already know about, all the stuff that's already unlocked, all that kind of stuff. As I said, this is not going to be just an AWOK, video. I'm going to talk about some other stuff as well. So, we're jumping ahead to this. So as I said, we're at 257,000 and change. The Raven unlocks at 260,000. We're so close. I'm so excited. I think, this being the first of the three birds that we're going to do is awesome. I mean, you're going to get the soft goods poncho. You're going to get the alternate head that has the Raiden cap, the sort of Asian inspired woven hat. The wing accessories as well. So these birds are going to be absolutely phenomenal. I'm very, very excited to get these. And I've said this before, but the buck opens up the possibility for birds. If you really think about like how different the three birds that we've got here are, even just looking at Raving to Meryl, like Raving has basically bare arms, and a different leg too. Now that I don't know if that's down to the whether that's down to like the 2D art and sort of the render part of it or whatever. But yeah, so you get the full feathered arms there. The clawed, the taloned hands are going to be amazing. I have 3 fingers and a thumb on those. And 3 toes and the sort of back claw on the feet as well, with the alternate gripping feet. Like the birds are going to be so cool. I was talking to Dan, the sculptor, and he was saying that this is by far the most detailed figure that Spiro Toys has done so far, just in terms of all the texturing and all of the sculpting involved and all that fun stuff. He is, of course, going to be able to carry his sword on his back. His little knife, you can actually see that it's sort of it tucks into his belt at the back there. I'm not 100% certain yet as to whether these like throwing knives are these throwing knives, like whether that will be a strap that these will fit in or whether this will be sculpted and these will be separate. I'm not 100% certain, but very, very excited to find that stuff out very, very soon. Once this thing unlocks, as I said, we're very close to unlocking it, so I have no doubt that we're going to unlock Raving, and I'm feeling good that within the next little bit here, we're probably going to unlock Meryl as well, and then it's just a matter of time before we unlock Scathing and the weapons packs, the alternate heads, and then just keep on rolling to Brutox. And I'm still feeling like Mamba's still in play. Mamba's definitely still in play. And then, as I've said, the Kickstarter will end effectively Wednesday early in the morning, 7 a.m. on the East Coast, 4 a.m. on the Pacific Coast. So Tuesday night is really that's the we're in the end game now, and Tuesday night is the is your last chance to get in and get a reward, get a pledge in there. And keep in mind, if all you want is Mamba and you're just holding out for Mamba, we have said that if you if we get the funding in the backer kit period, we will unlock Mamba and we'll keep going. We'll unlock Zwar and Vitus as well. But say you just want Mamba, say you just want the elephant, you can just pledge without a reward. Put the $85, $89 in there, which won't cover the shipping. So we haven't quite mentioned that. But if you put the $89 in and then you'll pay the shipping after. Put the $89 in there. That just locks you in as a Kickstarter backer. And then in the backer kit, which is a separate platform, you'll get an email. Any Kickstarter backer will get an email that will direct them to the backer kit platform. And that's when you're actually going to choose your figures, lock in your rewards. That's how you're going to tell us, I want the elephant, I want the dog, I want the fox, on and on and on. So there you go. I'm still like, honestly, I still think we can unlock these too. And I would love to unlock those. But as I said, at the moment, we're really just, we're knocking on the door of Raving. Like, we're so close to get a Raving. So that's pretty exciting. Less than 3,000 away from that first bird. So there you go. Next up, I'll check in with the chat. Now I am going to close this down for a minute, and I sure hope it comes back, but we'll that's Game Quest says see you. Thanos Copter is here as well. Eric Drya, Smiler67, Jeff Morris, Red XO Mac 5. I still don't know. Red 5. I always just call him Red 5. Alberto Morales is with us as well. Larry Reed. Jeff Morris says X-Men 97 show is pretty great so far. Yeah. If you guys aren't watching X-Men 97, you really should be. Ray Pass says, hey, new live chat crew. Yes, unfortunately, the first one didn't take. So that's a couple times I've had to do that. It's just so frustrating. Let's see. GameQuest says, I would love Big Bad Toy Store to update sales. I have hundreds there and army builders. No doubt many others do too. So Big Bad Toy Store has put money into the Kickstarter. That's, we should say that like Big Bad Toy Store has put a significant amount of money into the Kickstarter, pot, so to speak. It doesn't happen in real time. It's sort of like, whenever they have sort of a bump and whenever they sort of have, more that they want to add, they put it in there. But they're basically backing in the same way that you guys are. So they're saying, we'll take 20 of these, 20 of these, 20 of these kind of thing. More so than like, hey, we got one more order, so we're adding another, $30. That like so it doesn't really work the same way. It's like bigger chunks whenever they choose to, really. It would be awesome if it was sort of a real-time one-to-one thing, but that's not quite how it works. So, um, Ray says, I heard the throwing knives will be removable. I hope so, but we'll see. We'll see whether that works or not. Are there any more retailer contributions going to be made? We don't really know. That's what I'm saying. And we don't necessarily have control of that. So honestly, don't rely on the retailers. Like, if you want this stuff, like, get your backing in now. This is why we've said too, like, you know, we appreciate that people are sort of backing through online retailers, but ultimately the quickest, most efficient way for you to get the elephant unlocked is to back through us. You know, you have to, you know, full disclosure, like, the retailers aren't backing at the same price that you are, right? They're paying retailer wholesale prices. So, you know, if you're buying a $50 figure, you know, we're not adding $50 to the pot in the same way that we would if you were ordering it through us. So we wanted to make sure that everybody had the opportunity to get these figures, but ultimately the best way to unlock, you know, the stretch goals is to just do it directly. We totally understand that that's not entirely feasible for everybody, so that's why we wanted to make sure that everybody had options. So, Jason said they were going to be sculpted on a throwing hand, so they're going to sculpt a hand that holds those. Apparently, again, I don't know. It's sort of you know, that's up to the sculptors and Jason and so on and so forth. Anyway, Red 5, we have hope. We have to have faith that people will come through and we get the hippo. Yeah, and that's, like I said, we're working towards that goal, right? And we're you know, initially we were going to do the backer kit like a week out, but I was like, what if we push it, you know, 2 weeks out, give people a little bit more time to catch their breath, run the backer kit for another 42 days, and sort of just make it so that we have a longer sort of grace period a little bit in terms of allowing backers to sort of get more money into this project. And like I said, you know, it's the backer kit money will count towards the funding as well. We just won't be as as crazy in terms of how many videos we do and how much promotion we do and stuff like that. Basically, all the backers will be locked in at that point, and it'll be sort of, you know, their chance to add things to their pledges, get some extra troop builders, things like that. And we'll have more announcements and we'll have more cool stuff to share with Kickstarter backers as well, that you won't necessarily see if you're not a backer. So we want that process to be fun and to be sort of, you know, to make you feel like you're part of something, which you absolutely are. And that's the thing. Anybody that backs the Kickstarter is backing Spiro Toys, and they're supporting the company. So let's see. Yeah, Amanda says, Brick, you've done an amazing job of organizing this absolutely crazy schedule of streams. There's been so much. It's been so much fun. I was saying this morning that once we're all done, you know, I fully intend to do an open late on Wednesday night, which will be after the Kickstarter has ended. Hopefully we will then have a tally of how many hours of videos that we did, because I think that'll be like a fun thing to share with people. It's been a lot. Ted Darkclaws here says, hello friends, listening while I drive. Y'all are on a grind today. Absolutely. Check out Hella Dope Toys YouTube channel. Jason is going to be on with those guys talking more AWOK tonight. If you haven't had enough AWOK, we've still got more. GameQuest says, I'm epic all in on Kickstarter, but army build on Big Bad Toy Store to support now, pay later on that front. Yeah, absolutely. And we get that. And like I said, you know, I totally understand that people want literally way more stuff than they can afford. I totally get that. And so for that reason, you know, we've given people options with eCollectibles and Big Bad Toy Store, where, you know, if you can't necessarily back it right now, but you want to sort of commit to backing it later in a weird way, you're absolutely welcome to do that. So are we back? We are back. Let's see. Brick says, thanks to Amanda for sharing me with everybody else. Star says, yeah, man, StreamYard is absolutely killing me, but what can you do? Um, Brian Brink, very good question. Are the weapons packs and Spectral Pale included in the Epic All-In? They absolutely are. The Epic All-In gets you everything. Everything. You get everything that we make, and we will make sure that it is a like absolutely dripping with value by the time you get all your stuff in hand. Star says, I thought I might have pressed the wrong button after the show went dead right after I came on. No, you didn't. No, full disclosure, like I hit end, like I ended the stream and then sat there for like a minute because it didn't say that it ended, but it had ended. I checked on YouTube because YouTube was still working, but StreamYard, it was just, it's an absolute nightmare and it drives me crazy. And I really hope that it lets me share the other visuals that I want to share, because quite frankly, this is it's really weird to do this if I can't share the visuals. And as I said, there's like a weird delay between like me pressing the button that says share this and StreamYard doing that. But what can I do? but thumbs up. So I've clicked the button. I'm waiting for another screen to share. Nothing. But as you can see, like some things on StreamYard work for whatever, like the screen share is just absolutely being a pain in the butt. I don't know if Thanos, I don't know why StreamYard hates me so much specifically. I'm using it, like the thing is I'm not using it in a way that it should like crash it or something like that. This isn't what I'm trying to share. I'm trying to share something different. Brian says you can upload images directly to StreamYard as well. You can, but that require like, yes, you absolutely can, and I may sort of do that going forward. It's just that requires way more prep time. Usually for ages, I've done tons of videos that let me just share a tab. And for whatever reason, it won't. Like it's sharing this one now, but that's not the one that I wanted to share. So let me see. Maybe I can do it manually. I mean, this is ridiculous and super frustrating. Nothing. I've got 2 tabs open. Like it's not even a case of like I'm overloading it or whatever. Anyways, what I want to talk about is the GI Joe classified Tiger Force Wreckage and Tiger Paw, coming sort of right on the heels of what was I going to say? What am I saying? Wait, let me see if I could do this because it's. Nope, now it's just not even responding on my end. Okay, I'll just talk through it. Imagine, if you will, a GI Joe classified Tiger Force version of the ATV, and then imagine, if you will, Firefly, but in a different deco. This is dumb. This is why this is so freaking frustrating. Anyways. Yeah, but that coming right on the heels of the first ferret, and also right on the heels of the vamp. So I've got 2 vamps. I ordered 2 of the ferrets, and then this comes out, and I knew this was coming out. Full disclosure, I've known that the wreckage was going to be coming with a Tiger Paw for quite a while. The spacing is what's frustrating. The timing is what's really frustrating, because it doesn't seem to be following any sort of like feasible schedule for people. They announce a wave, and they say it's going to come out in 6 months. People kind of back it, and then 2 weeks later, it gets released. It's incredibly frustrating. As a lot of you know, and I've said this before, I'm not doing the Tiger Force stuff. The exception will be if they do a Tiger Force vamp, the Tiger Sting, I believe is what it's called. If they do that, I will get that one because that one the vamp's my favorite vehicle. Full stop. So if they do that, you know, it's a no-brainer. I'm gonna grab one of those. Um, but um, but yeah, it's weird that they're doing it. It's kind of cool. I mean, I do like it. I wish I could. Here, let me try this one more time. I've closed a whole bunch of tabs. I'm down to like very, very few things to even look at. But still, StreamYard. Why? I don't know. I don't know. So frustrating. And I can't show anything. Like I can't share with you like an alternate head pick from AWOK. Like I can't share anything, which is what makes this incredibly frustrating. It's just dumb. So I'm looking at pictures telling you what I'm looking at. Oh, it's just dumb. Shall I go on? Okay, I don't like the Tiger Force thing. All right, let's move on and I'll talk a little bit not about specific products. We'll talk about this is going to be a short video cuz this is just driving me crazy. I'm trying to catch up on the chat here. We'll go heavy on the chat and light on the visuals, I think. Brian Brink said, "Have you gotten any of the Gridiron Studios vamp upgrades yet?" I have not because I actually think that the vamp is pretty phenomenal as it is. I also think that, like I said, if they do a Tiger Sting, I'll probably get that one. If they do a Stinger, I will probably get that one. If they do the Vamp Mark II, I'll probably get that one. So investing in sort of additional stuff on top of the sorry, I keep getting distracted because StreamYard is also there's little notification pop-up things that tell me that StreamYard isn't working properly. Like, thanks for nothing. Just distracting me. But yeah, the additional things to go with all the vamps it just adds up too fast. And as I said, I really, really like what they've done in terms of the details and stuff like that. So Jeff Moore says the new Tiger Force Ferret came and sold out before a lot of people even knew it was available. Yeah, absolutely. And that's the other thing is it kind of just dropped and they were like, here you go, order away. And it kind of disappeared. That being said, I think eCollectibles.ca still has it available. I think the Tiger Force stuff is a little more widely available than it has been in the past. So that's very, very good. GameQuest says, I can't keep getting the classified vehicles much longer. Just no space for these large pieces of plastic. Yeah, I mean, that's a serious problem too, right? You can see I've got my HISS tank there. I don't have a shelf to put my vamp on. I've got two vamps sitting on the floor next to me because there's literally nowhere else for them to go. I just don't have any more shelves. So I'm gonna have to start selling more stuff, but Alice, tell us about the rabbits, George. Tiger Force Dragonfly, no. For me, honestly, the Tiger Force vamp would be the only. That's the only one. It's the only one that will get me to sort of break into the Tiger Force stuff. Let's see. Ray Paz, I didn't know the Tiger's Sting. It's like what the Tiger's doing. I'm gonna pinch you, so to sting. Thanos says I'm visualizing those pop-ups as middle fingers. No, that's yeah. Larry says in Canada it's fan channel. So that's that because we don't have Target. They're now finally figuring out that they need to offer them to us in a timely fashion. Eric Drya says I would have loved more than one vamp, but I'm trying to keep space for future releases. I couldn't help myself. I didn't have space for one, but I bought two because the vamp is my favorite vehicle. Anyways, moving on. Let's see. I wonder if I can I'm gonna try again and assume it's gonna fail. But I was trying to share just a screen, not even a screenshot, just one of those promo pictures that they did for X-Men 97. We are, what is it, 5 episodes into X-Men 97, and it is absolutely wild. I'm not going to get into spoilers. Just thumbs up again. I'm not going to get into spoilers at all. I didn't really know what to expect from X-Men 97. I didn't watch any of the trailers, the kind of little preview videos. I hadn't really seen any of the promo art. I hadn't, I knew I was going to watch it. I knew I was going to love it. My kids loved the X-Men cartoon when we got Disney Plus, and it was on there almost right away. At least for us, it might be different in the US. I can't remember. They got into it right away and went through sort of all the seasons and wanted more. And so when they announced that they were doing another season, I was very excited. I didn't tell them right away because they're kids, and that, so they need that. They need more instant gratification. So I waited until it was sort of like a month out, and but they were very, very excited. We're 5 episodes in. I don't know if they should be watching it. It's heavy. There is some heavy content in X-Men 97 in a really, really good way. I didn't know what to expect from X-Men 97. Like I said, I didn't watch any of the trailers. Maybe if I had seen the trailers, I would have expected some of the things that we've seen. It's really, really cool that they are pulling stories from the comic books. I think that, like I said, no spoilers. But if you know the comics, you'll like, this won't be a spoiler if you no, I won't even say. There is some heavy stuff in there. There is some storylines that I definitely did not expect this cartoon to cover. Right from the jump with episode 1, there was something about a particular character that I was like, oh, that's weird. I mean, they're either leaning into this storyline, or they're sort of, they're sort of doing their own stuff. And as soon as I realized that they were leaning into like storylines from the comic books, I knew exactly what was going on. Super excited. Then we had a big reveal in episode 2, and my 8-year-old was like, her mind was blown. And I was like, okay, that storyline is from when Dad was a kid. So, I love it. I love what they're doing with it. Without spoiling anything, I will say this as well. What they're doing with some of the characters is awesome. I mean, they're really they're writing these characters in a much more mature way. Seems like a weird way to say it. Like they're writing these characters much more complex than they did originally. They're not all stereotypes. And some of the mutant abilities that were kind of like meh in the old cartoon have absolutely leveled up. They've definitely gone to the source material to sort of pull, the like the spectrum of like what mutant powers are, right? Like classically, like Cyclops was he was kind of wimpy in the cartoon. He definitely levels up. They make specific references to Storm being an Omega level mutant, and her abilities are Omega level in the cartoon. Man, if you're not watching it, get into it, because it is phenomenal. It is way better than the old cartoon. The only thing that I don't like is that the animation style has changed so much. And I know that's because the technology has changed, and because, the TVs are better, and it's all digital and all that kind of stuff. But there are moments where it doesn't quite feel like the old cartoon. And that makes me a little bit sad. But not sad enough that I'm not absolutely glued to the TV. So Larry Reed says little darker. It's a little darker. Yeah. Thanos says I expected some of episode 5, but not so early on. Burke says it's heavy, but so rapid that it doesn't have the same weight or resonance, in my opinion. Yeah, that's absolutely true. I mean, and I kind of explained that a little bit to my 8-year-old too. I said this was a storyline that took about 20 issues of the comics, and they did it in 2 episodes of the cartoon. So there is an element where I think for the sake of it being still being a kids show, they haven't, they're not going to the depths, that they could in terms of like, building up the relationships and building up sort of the emotional weight and resonance, like you say. But they're still doing a pretty cool job. I mean, it's not the comic books, right? Like that's what I have to remind myself, is that it's not the comic books. It's going to be fast. It's going to be sort of action packed. But I'm okay with that because it's better than not getting the cartoon. Anyway, that's my opinion. Ray Pass says episode 5 was the darkest. 1 to 4 was not as bad as it could have and should have been. Yeah, I mean, but that's okay. So that's where I'm kind of like, I'm of two minds, right? Like I said, my kids watch it. My kids absolutely love it. Wednesday, when I get home from work, they remind me that it's Wednesday and that there's a new episode of the cartoon. I really want them to watch it. So it's sort of like, I think it's as heavy as it could be and as dark as it could be and still remain like a kids show. What was that? So it's hard because it's like you have to have that balance between it being a kids show and being a show that's really truly fan service to 40-year-olds that watched the cartoon, when they were kids, 40-plus-year-olds. So it's hard. It's hard to find a balance, and but I feel like they have kind of found a balance. I just hope that we get a lot more of it. Like I hope that we get a couple seasons of it. So, Brick something, but will it feel dark when things get fixed next episode or one after? That's where I'm kind of like, I really hope. Yeah, I don't know. And that's what I'm kind of worried about, is that like, and again, without sort of spoiling anything, it's sort of like, what happens in episode 5, like, did it happen the way we think it happened, or will it sort of get, will there be sort of a moment where like, Bishop or Cable or somebody like fixes the past or something and everything is, how will that work? How are they going to sort of play into that kind of thing? Will they reset, like, will they tell these really sort of crazy stories and then reboot them in a way by using sort of really clumsy time travel type things? I don't know. That remains to be seen. I'm really hoping that we have an episode that just kicks off Age of Apocalypse. That's what I'm like. We'll get like 6 or 7 or 8 episodes in, they'll introduce Legion, and then I'll be like, oh my goodness, let's do it. Let's go. Let's get there. But we'll see. Yeah, they really are flying through stuff. I'm enjoying it, but it's at such a fast pace and a lot of things are being shoved together. Yeah, but again, like I said, I think this is intended to sort of get kids. And I think I mean, I could, at least for my kids, it's definitely doing that. So, Game Quest episode 5 hurt. Not gonna lie. Yeah. Episode 4 was a bit of the filler one. It definitely was. I did enjoy it. But again, I mean, I thought that episode 4 felt like a filler, but I thought it could have been 3 episodes long, and it could have been like a really good story, or even 2 episodes long and been a good story. But episode 4 also has like 2 parts to it, and it was sort of like, okay, I can kind of see what they're doing here. You know, they're you know, I'm not trying to be spoilery, so I'm not going to sort of get into it, but episode 4 felt like they were trying to appeal to both crowds, right? The kids at the beginning and the adults at the end, and I think they're not quite I think there's an element of they're not quite sure what they're doing with it. I hope they figure out who the audience is, and then kind of maybe a season 2 leans more heavily into one audience or the other, because I feel like it's of two minds in terms of what they're trying to do. Um and you know, strangely enough, like shout out to the Netflix the He-Man series, love it or hate it, you know, you have your own opinion, but I think they did an incredibly good job of sort of knowing what their path was, knowing what they wanted that to be, that it was going to be a kid, like a show that was accessible to kids but still have a whole lot of fan service in it and a whole lot of, you know, Easter eggs and things like that. X-Men, I think, hasn't executed that quite as well, in my opinion. And Brick says the animation is definitely a huge step up from the 90s show. It is, but it's like that kind of takes me out of it in a weird way, if that makes sense. But yeah. Red 5 Cyclops is a badass now. He absolutely is. And that's the first like 5 minutes of the first episode, so it's not spoilery. I didn't want to say it, but I'm happy that somebody did. I've always loved Cyclops, but yeah, man, there's a scene, and once you've seen episode 1, you know exactly what scene we're talking about. It's so cool. He's just such a badass. Yeah, the animation is better. Objectively, it's better. Objectively, like it's yeah, it's better. But like I said, I feel like it's of two minds. Like they're trying to appeal to us and they're trying to appeal to my kids. And I don't think that they figured out the sort of the right recipe for how to do that with this series. Star, wondering why we haven't gotten another G.I. Joe Resolute film. From what I understand, Hasbro does not love G.I. Joe Resolute. It's darker than they thought it was going to be. But we love it, so they kind of tolerate it. I don't think we're going to see anything quite like that. But that's a good way to transition into the last thing I want to talk about. Which absolutely like shocked me to okay, so what I'm going to do is this. I'm going to see if I can get this picture to come up, because this one is pretty darn cool, and this just visually got me excited when I saw it. So let me see. Wait for it. And like I said, if it doesn't work, it doesn't work. There's nothing I can do about it. I'm gonna try one more time. I've closed everything else. There's nothing else. So if this doesn't work, everybody can email StreamYard and get angry with them. Yeah, it's not gonna work. Why would it? Why would it start now? So we're not going to get another G.I. Joe Resolute film. However, somebody has reported, somebody being who? I don't know. I can't remember. Actually, because I can't use this visual, I may as well just bring up the page. I think it was Paramount. I think Paramount has said, is it Paramount? Is that right? It's the one with the mountain. That's Paramount, right? And the stars. I can see it in my mind. Okay. So this is from Toy News International. They said news out of CinemaCon 2024 reports that Paramount is giving the green light to the long talked about Transformers G.I. Joe crossover movie. That's amazing. That's fantastic news. I apologize. I realize there's a whole bunch more chat on X-Men 97. And there's a whole bunch that would just be a little bit too spoilery, which is part of the reason that I want to move on. John, that's what I'm talking about, man. Age of Apocalypse would be great. And I think that one they could do in like 2 or 3 episodes and it would still be fine. It wouldn't be as good. I would love a whole season of Age of Apocalypse. Maybe season 1 will end by setting up season 2 as Age of Apocalypse. That would be amazing. That would be so amazing. And that could be the reset. They should have me over there telling them what to do. But I kid. Man, you guys are really into this. Let's see. The chat is awesome. I love you guys. Yeah, I've lost track of the chat, so I'm just skipping ahead. I'm going to talk about the Transformers G.I. Joe crossover movie. And we'll hit reset on the on the chat at that point. I've scrolled to the bottom. It's so much easier when there's visuals. But anyways, yeah, they've given the green light to the crossover movie, which is great news. Kind of. The reason that I say that is that Deadline is reporting that Steven Spielberg is the executive producer. That's great. Steven Spielberg is great. Everybody likes Steven Spielberg, and what he does is usually great. The problem is Steven Spielberg as executive producer just means that he's kind of involved in the money. The issue and as soon as I saw this, I was like, oh no, this is just going to be history repeating itself, and it might even be worse. So Lorenzo de Bonaventura, who has been at the helm of all the live action G.I. Joe movies, the Snake Eyes movie, Retaliation, and whatever the other, none of them have been very good. None of them have been sort of true to G.I. Joe. No offense to Lorenzo de Bonaventura, but he knows nothing about G.I. Joe and clearly doesn't care to. But he's teaming up with Michael Bay, who has, kind of a track record of proving that he can screw up Transformers pretty well. So it's like, this is exciting. If they can get a writer and director who can kind of stand up to those two producers and go like, hey man, get out of here. We're going to make a cool movie. Because like, I feel bad saying this, but I feel like this crossover movie, if those guys are too involved, will really damage G.I. Joe and Transformers more than it will and I don't think that, I don't know as much about the Transformers movies as far as the sort of the box office take and all that kind of stuff. But I believe, and feel free to correct me, like Larry Reed, if you might know this if you're still in the chat. I feel like the Michael Bay era of Transformers, every movie made less money than the last one, and I think people are just sick of Michael Bay's Transformers. I know that people are sick of Lorenzo de Bonaventura's G.I. Joe movies because they're not. They don't get it. They just don't get it. I'm just saying. Larry Reed loves Transformers. Actually, wait, I'm gonna start on this one because Brick Something says, I'm here for for Transformers and G.I. Joe. Then I went through like who's attached to it. Brick retracts his last comment. I don't think I'm here for this Transformers G.I. Joe. And that's the problem, is that like it's You know, they gave us something that everybody's wanted for so long. And then there's like an asterisk that it's like, but it's not the version that anybody wants, and it's not going to be a version that anybody enjoys, and it's going to have way too many explosions and slow-mo weird action takes with flipping and on and on and on. And the characters won't be, there will be no character development, there will be no sort of character depth. It'll be stereotypical, army. It'll be like, it just just don't think it's going to be very good. I'm really sorry to say that. Game Quest. I've never read Age of Apocalypse. Well, don't. Just wait till they do the cartoon and then go back and read it and see which one you think is better. But I love it. I absolutely love Age of Apocalypse. Let's see. Allison Troy says, I don't care for Spielberg. E.T. bored me in 1982 and still kind of does. Fair enough. That's fair enough. Thanos, I haven't dug either of those properties in movies form since the 80s animated ones. I mean, other than those ones, what we've gotten are basically the Bay Transformers and the Bonaventura G.I. Joe, and they haven't been good. Brian Brink says Spielberg was executive producer for the Bay films too, and I think he was the executive producer for the G.I. Joe ones as well. I think it's just a Paramount thing. I think Steven Spielberg has his name attached to a lot of things that he has like literally no interest in whatsoever, and just stands to make a bunch of money or lose it, which is weird. Star says, I can't see Paramount as having anywhere near the capacity to do a Transformers G.I. Joe crossover film correctly. That's okay, but here's the thing. Paramount has tons of money. They could absolutely do it. The problem isn't Paramount. The problem is some of the names that are attached to the project. Lorenzo also doesn't have a clue about Transformers. Yeah. I mean, that's... Yeah. Ray Pass says, I have not liked one of those Joe movies. I liked Transformers 1 and 2. Yeah, so did I. Sorry to anyone that does love them. No offense. No, I mean, that's the thing. The G.I. Joe movies I enjoyed because they were G.I. Joe movies. And I was excited that we got G.I. Joe movies. I think a lot of people with the Transformers, like, the first one was great because it was fresh and new and kind of different. And like the action, that was like that, that was Michael Bay before he was Michael Bay in a way. Like we weren't, now you say Michael Bay and people kind of go, like Zack Snyder, right? Zack Snyder has made some decent movies. The problem is he just keeps making the same movie. Michael Bay has a very similar track record. The movies just get more and more Michael Bay and less. Like for me, the further you get into these things, the more depth these characters should have. They shouldn't have less character development by the time you get to the third or fourth version of us, seeing this character. And those guys just don't understand that. They just don't understand good storytelling. They're just the team on that Snake Eyes movie, like when they talked about like the action choreographer and like some of the cinematographers and stuff like that, like it was all adding up to be a great Snake Eyes movie. And then, some of the things you hear, some of the rumors, some people just get involved that shouldn't be involved. That they have lots of money, but they don't know anything about making movies. And they ruin it. So, let's see. Larry says it was only his last movie that tanked at the box offices. Okay. Yeah, I mean, I think internationally too, like Transformers has done okay. G.I. Joe has not. I mean, that's been diminishing returns every time. Red 5 says, I like the idea. Why not be open-minded to it? I am, and that's the thing. I'll say this. I was on Mega J's channel. We were talking about those Ninja Turtles, the Acme the acne scar Ninja Turtles. They look terrible, but I'm hoping that in hand they're better, right? I feel the same way about this. Full disclosure, I own the Blu-ray of the Snake Eyes movie. You know, I still enjoy it well enough, you know, for what it is. It's just that thing where like G.I. Joe and Transformers have so many, you know, fans that love the brand and sort of love the IP and have known it and sort of lived it and sort of lived in it for decades. And then for these guys to kind of just scrap all that and just like push all that stuff to the side and just make these weird generic bad movies is just really disappointing. And like I said, I'm open to it. I hope that it's amazing. I hope that they go way more G1 with the designs of the like I hope it's not. I hope they don't just take the Michael Bay Transformers and the Lorenzo di Bonaventura G.I. Joe stuff and just slam that together. I hope that this is like a full reboot. But they don't seem to want to do that, which is it just like 2 years ago, Lorenzo de Bonaventura said he also doesn't want to have a crossover like with Transformers. So like these guys just don't know. They just don't know what they're doing. Anyway, it just annoys me. But thumbs up. Star says, I thought the Bumblebee film was on the right track. Easily my favorite of the live action films. Yes. And that was supposed to lead into like a reboot of Transformers. And then they got cold feet. And then they just made another bad Transformers movie. I think lots of people love Bumblebee, but then they just blew it. Like I said, they just don't have the vision. They don't have the vision. They don't have like, this is what we want to do and we're going to stick to it. We're going to build this world and we're going to like develop everything. And like, it just, they just, anyway. Yeah. And this is to Red 5's point, like why not be open-minded? I'm as open-minded as I possibly can be given the track record that these names have attached to them. And I'm still, like I said, I'm still open-minded because I'm still going to go and see it in the theater and I'm still excited that they're doing it. I just wish those guys would just take a back seat and let people that are passionate about this stuff do it. I'm skipping a whole bunch. Darren says, I'm here for the AWOK Thundercats crossover. Yeah, that would be awesome. Allison Troy says there's also only one good Indiana Jones movie, Raiders. Everything else is meh. I don't disagree with that. Although I did absolutely love Temple of Doom because I was a kid, and as a kid I thought it was great. You watch it now and you're like, yeah, this one doesn't quite hit in the same way. Larry Reed says it will focus on the G.I. Joe and not the Transformers. That's why the live action Transformers Too Many Humans are the main story. Yeah, I mean, yeah, it'll be, I don't know. I don't know what it'll be. It'll be interesting. Transformers 1, the story of a boy in his car. I genuinely liked it. Yeah, and I think Transformers 1 kind of, take this how you want and you're welcome to disagree. And, I'm just saying like on the surface, the framework, right? Transformers 1 was the story of a boy in his car. Bumblebee was kind of the story of a girl in her car. And there were decent characters in there. There was decent, stories. But then they just didn't build on that. And that's where I think they dropped the ball, is like by the third Transformers movie, it's nothing to do with the first one. Like it's bonkers. That doesn't make any sense to me. That's like, Marvel and DC rebooting comics every 6 months and thinking that people care anymore. Allison Troy, this is a very good point. I want movies not based on 40-year-olds toy lines. I'd love if they started putting money into new stuff. Love Joe Classified and love Joe as a kid, but I'm tired of retreads and reboots. New ideas, please. Yeah, and they're out there. I mean, that's the other thing, is like these are the safe bets and these are what sort of studios are behind. But there's a lot of good stuff out there that for whatever reason, it just doesn't get enough attention. I loved Man of Steel too. I really did love Man of Steel. What can you do? I totally forgot about this. Okay, so Brick Something asks, how do you feel about an R-rated TMNT live action? I'll add live action because they've also mentioned that movie based on The Last Ronin. I love it. I think it could be phenomenal. I like that they came out, they came straight out and said it's going to be R-rated. I love that. I love that they're leaning into that. I think there's an audience for sort of R-rated content like that. That comic book is an R-rated comic book. It has to be like it. You couldn't do The Last Ronin without the gravitas and sort of what you can do in an R-rated film. To me, an R rating doesn't necessarily mean, gratuitous violence, gratuitous, sexual content. I think R rating just means that it's like themes and things that, or at least in my opinion, it means that it's like this is not for kids, right? You need to understand the world on a different level to sort of really get what this film is going to do. So, I like it. I love the idea that they're going to go that route. Mick Zarzuela says they should do a 3D animated movie instead of a live action one, but since it makes money at the cinemas, they can still churn it out even if it's crappy. Yeah. Yeah, I mean that's we grew up loving these cartoons, right? And I don't know that they necessarily need to be live action either. I think you're absolutely right. I think what's a little bit fascinating to me is that everywhere else in the world, and that's a generalization, so I'll rephrase that, I'll reframe that. There are many countries in the world that make animated content that is geared towards an audience that isn't children. But for whatever reason, there's still a prevailing feeling that animation is a medium suited for children and not for adults. I'm saying like in Hollywood, like bad Hollywood. You know what I mean? Like the kind of guys we're talking about. The guys that they're not in touch with, like, they're just making movies in a way that they think they're supposed to be made because they make money, but there's no life there. I would love to see this as an animated movie. I would absolutely love that. But it won't be that. So anyway. Collecting Brother says R-rated Last Ronin will be cool. Wouldn't do it justice with a PG-13 rating. Comic is brutal. Exactly. That's exactly what I'm saying. You just couldn't do it. You couldn't do it. It would not work. And Brick says, I've watched all the TMNT, Transformers, G.I. Joe, regardless of the ones I've hated. I'm the same way. Star Wars is there too. It's I just love that stuff. It's just stuff that I've always been passionate about, and I'm not saying they can do no wrong. Like there's Ninja Turtles 3 is objectively bad, but I still love it. For the entertainment value of it. I wonder if AWOK will ever do Turtles. How would something like that be handled? It's probably not. The answer is probably not. It's funny when you see interviews with Peter Cullen saying that Bonaventura, I think you mean Bonaventura knows nothing about Transformers. I mean, Peter Cullen is kind of like he's sort of earned the right to say things like that publicly. I think it's interesting that I think most of us, if not all of us, respect Peter Cullen's take on Transformers more than Lorenzo de Bonaventura or Michael Bay. That's what you're saying there. Sorry, Bay knows about Transformers. Okay, take your pick of either of those guys. Let's see. Smiler67 says Paramount is struggling for money. Their streaming service is failing. The studio needs a reset and find a true godfather for G.I. Joe, like Dave Filoni. Yeah, I mean, Star Wars has Dave Filoni. Marvel has had Kevin Feige. There's some of these guys that have been very, very good at sort of, setting the map, setting the roadmap and sort of executing it pretty well. The MCU has fallen off a little bit. I get that. I know that there's sort of, that's a problem. Star Wars has had issues as well. So like it's these things aren't infallible. Like these IPs aren't, I don't think they're as, they're not as bulletproof as I think people thought they once were. What's crazy though is like people are losing interest. Like I said, I don't know as much about the Transformers, but like people are losing interest in what they're going to do next with G.I. Joe. And I kind of get the sense that that's true with Transformers because they keep sort of not figuring out how to do it right. Paramount, it just keeps backing these people that make this stuff that don't seem to quite know how to do it well. Star says they're not creatives, they're all money guys. Yes, and that's the thing is like you have to have a balance. You have to have a balance of money guys to sort of back creatives, but the money guys can't be the creatives. It doesn't work that way. It does not work that way. I'm not creative in the slightest. And I've said this. Like I love working with Jason, working with Animal Warriors of the Kingdom, because my mind can do some of the things that his mind can't do. And that frees him up to do the creative stuff. That's what those guys should be looking at. They should be looking at how do we let the creatives do something that's really, really cool. And then they should just get out. Just leave the room, right? Anyway, that's my 2 cents. Let's see. I gotta skip a few here. Thanos Copter says Transformers 1 sounds like it could be good. I saw that headline. I haven't even read the news on that. Thank you for putting that in there. Animated prequel set on Cybertron. That would be dope. I think Bumblebee had that scene on Cybertron, and they like. I thought that sequence was phenomenal. I wanted to see more of that. And I think going animated with that is so much better than trying to do it as a live action. It doesn't make sense. Okay. I'm way behind on the chat. Okay, I have no idea what this is in reference to because I'm so behind on the chat. But Justin Mohan just says Japan. Yep. This is sort of right around when I was saying that, some countries have figured out like the animation isn't just for kids. Yes. Japan is one that I thought about. There's a lot of European countries too. And we don't end up getting to sort of see a lot of it because it, like I said, the money guys, the guys that decide what we get to see, in North America to some extent, you can go and search for it and find it. I'm not saying you can't, but what gets promoted and sort of advertised to us in North America, they're not promoting and advertising the animated feature length films that are coming out of, France and Germany and like Czech Republic and stuff like that. So, but yes, Justin, Japan for sure. Hey, Oz is hanging out. What's going on, Oz? Star says it feels like most of the big franchises are dying. They're always put in the hands of people who are continually focused on how much the investors stand to make rather than what the audiences want. Yeah, I mean, maybe. I mean, what the audiences want is gonna make money. And that's the irony, I think, is that these guys haven't figured out that like people don't want what they keep trying to offer. Let's see. So Justin says, I don't know how that Lorenzo de Bonaventura guy from Transformers still has his job. He's from GI Joe. It's GI Joe, I think. He's like the weatherman. Yeah. Ray Pass says he bought the rights to the film franchise. So I thought that too, Ray Paz, but I'm not sure that that's accurate. I had somebody tell me that that's not true. He's just an executive producer. And Paramount owns the rights to do Transformers films and GI Joe films, and Michael Bay and Lorenzo de Bonaventura are just the producers that kind of keep taking on those projects. Because I don't know why. I don't know how that relationship works. But to the best of my knowledge, those guys don't own those rights. They're just the guys that, for whatever reason, they keep calling on to make these movies. It just doesn't make any sense. There's other producers, that's it. Paramount has made good movies during the time that they've made all these bad G.I. Joe and Transformers movies. That's what I don't understand. Is like, give somebody else a chance. It's like, it's just weird. Anyways, at this point, I'm just rambling on. We've done an hour. That was sort of my intention, was to do an hour. I got other stuff to do. AWOK, go and back the Animal Warriors of the Kingdom Kickstarter. I would bring it back up, but I can't because StreamYard hates me. Coming up today, later this afternoon. So Brick is still doing the news. Go check out Brick Something's channel and watch news, the needless ephemera we saw. And then when that ends, you can jump on one of two streams. We double booked again. So we are going to be chatting a little bit of AWOK and some other stuff as well over on Geek Dad Life again. Jason will be over on the Hella Dope Toys channel talking all things AWOK. So if you want all AWOK for a couple hours, Hella Dope Toys is going to be the stream for you. So there you go. There's 60 something hours. I don't know. Like I said, go back to Kickstarter, whether it's for $1 or for an epic all in. All contributions count. We appreciate everybody, and we're in the end game, and we are absolutely having a blast. And thank you guys for all the support. Thank you guys for hanging out. Thank you guys for being in the chat. I apologize again on StreamYard's behalf for being so crappy. But maybe next week it'll work. Right. I'm optimistic. I'm still optimistic that maybe next time it'll work. Anyways, it's been a blast. As I said, it's always fun hanging out with you guys and talking about toys. Until 6 p.m. On another channel, or until next time. Bye-bye. Go back the Kickstarter.